welcome to the Evangelical Eddie channel, where we talk about Christian-related items that are going on in the news. It's April 25th, 2021, and I want to talk about an important situation that happened earlier this month. On April 2nd, 2021, there was an attack on our Capitol by a suspect named Noah Green. Noah Green hit Capitol police officers as he crashed into a barricade and ran at officers with a knife. He was shot and killed, and that story pretty much died after that. We did hear about the officer who was killed in this attack. His name was Billy Evans. But outside of that, we've heard nothing else. However, there was this clip with Tucker discussing the faith background of the attacker, and that may be one of the reasons we're not hearing about this attack.
Fox's Trace Gallagher is the very latest on what happened and what we know now. Hey, Trace.
We can tell you, Tucker, the police say the killer is 24-year-old Noah Ricardo Green, one of 10 children who reportedly grew up in both Indiana and West Virginia. Green attended and played football at Christopher Newport University in Newport News, Virginia. So far, we have found no criminal record or motive, but in a series of recent social media posts, Green talks about being unemployed, facing trying times, and said he was leaning on his faith as a devoted follower of the Nation of Islam. He referred to himself as Brother Noah X. He went on to write that his faith is, quote, centered on the belief of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as Jesus the Messiah. Centered on the belief of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as Jesus the Messiah, the final divine reminder in our midst. Green said he'd never met Farrakhan, but believes he's the man who can carry him through his dark hour. Quoting again, "The minister is here to save me and the rest of humanity, even if it means facing death."
After the January 6th attack on the Capitol, where an officer was killed, Donald Trump was blamed for that attack. Yet, there is no mention of the motivation behind this attack. Interestingly, in the last week, we have now found out that that police officer on January 6th was not killed by a Trump mob, quote unquote, but actually died of a stroke the following day, and apparently had called his family the night of the Capitol attack on January 6th and said he was doing okay. So this story about a fire extinguisher and the mob bludgeoning him apparently wasn't true. I don't know if his stroke was related to anything the crowd might have done to him that day, but the point is, we were fed a lie about how he died.
A Capitol Hill police officer named Brian Sicknick was killed by the mob with a fire extinguisher.
They beat a Capitol police officer to death with a fire extinguisher.
Officer Brian Sicknick died after being hit in the head with a fire extinguisher during the fight.
He died at the age of 42 after he was bludgeoned with a fire extinguisher.
The truth of who murdered Officer Brian Sicknick, Trump supporters.
So interestingly, we had a misinformation on the January 6th situation, and now we're having no information on the April 2nd attack on the Capitol. So I'm curious what you guys think. Is there a reason the mainstream media would be going out of their way to not bring up the Farrakhan Nation of Islam connection to the attacker on April 2nd? Again, this was mentioned here on Fox News on a short clip on Tucker Carlson. That is the only place I have seen any discussion in mainstream media. Curious on your thoughts.